A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those people that make laws and regulations. That affects you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went and elected. And the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And the result can be a
taxing
situation.
Or worse. This could be so humorous you'll bend over laughing.
Why am I paying so much taxes?
Maybe not that humorous, but you know, there is humor in every meeting. That's what we try to pull out, right?
That's true.
Just like spaghetti. There it is.
And it's not so distant cousin, rumor.
Rumor. And by the way, folks, keep an eye on this guy. This is the guy that spreads all the rumors, at least most of them. Huh?
And it's funny when some of those rumors turn out to be true.
That's true. The guy's uncanny. I got to tell you, folks. Just pay attention to what goes on. Now, this is the abbreviated form of the meetings that you could attend and spend 2-3 hours in a meeting. And we kind of condense this, don't we?
That's right. But if you do want to spend 2 or 3 hours, we record everything. And yes. All you have to do is go to OCCTV.org, click on programs, and everything
Voila.
is in reverse date order.
There it is.
So you can sit there and have 6 cups of coffee while you go through that 3-hour meeting.
Actually, that's there, plus much, much more.
Much, much more.
Okay.
Our entire broadcast is there in one form or another.
Yeah, you can learn all about automobiles out there from this guy. This guy's really sharp on automobiles.
That's right. Wish I had one.
Well, the gerbils won't let you, or the,
No.
what are they, chipmunks? You put a boycott on
and
your
you can't
auto.
harness them, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, lives in Brandon. He has a slight problem with squirrels. What else? Skunks,
Oh, come on.
porcupines.
It's God's country out there.
Yeah, just ask any skunk lover. They'll tell you.
Well,
Absolutely.
are you a skunk lover?
Absolutely am. But
Oh,
keep them
well.
over on your side of the woods.
I see.
Okay. Well, let's
I
talk
smell
about
something.
Right. Hey, yeah, I've been trying to talk to you about that too, by the way. But
Well,
anyway,
do something about it.
well, I would lose my partner if I did. That would be you, by the way, in case you're wondering. Okay, but let's talk about a couple meetings.
There is a space between us, you know.
There is lots more space than that, folks, but we won't talk about it. Anyway, we're going to talk about the a couple of meetings. One was Addison Township Board of Trustees meeting was held on January 14th. The other one is Oxford Village Planning Commission meeting, and that was January 15th. So let's get right to it, shall we?
Shall we?
All right. Bruce Pearson is the supervisor of the township for Addison Township, and of course he is the chair. Lori Fisher, who's the treasurer, sits on this board, and Pauline Bennett, who's the clerk, and Jacob Newby is on the board, and Joe King, Eric Sent. By the way, Eric, pretty sharp guy. All these others are pretty sharp too. You folks are very fortunate to have these people elected. They really watch the budgets over there. And Linda Garrick serves on the board, and that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Let's talk about what occurred. Of course, the preliminaries, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the prayer, which was delivered by Jacob Newby.
Oh.
And then they got on to, are there any petitions? No petitions. And the next thing was agenda. Would you like to approve the agenda? Yes, they would. So they approved the agenda. Consent agenda was the next thing, including the bills. And can you say ka-ching, ka-ching? And it was approved. It went forward.
Every dime, every penny.
Every dime, every penny.
Every
and
tuppence.
Even half penny. Did you know Canada, they had a half penny?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, you have one? Oh,
Actually, I have a Newfoundland half penny.
you do? What does that look like? A Canadian?
Strangely enough, it's really big.
It is. Yeah. And actually, the Canadian half penny is quite large too, I understand.
Yeah.
About the size of a quarter, maybe a little less.
Well, that's archaic now. They even got rid of their penny.
Yeah, but occasionally, just like the rumors, they pop up.
Well,
Public.
the nickel lasts very long.
That's right. Public hearing was the next thing, and they wanted to talk about marijuana in the public hearing. They said, public, would you like to discuss this? No.
No?
Nobody there that wanted to discuss it.
Well,
They're all put their hands down and hid under their seats.
I thought that was a pretty hot topic.
Well, it is a pretty hot topic. So there is a resolution actually that they need to adopt, and the resolution was to prohibit marijuana from being sold in businesses. within
In the
Addison
township.
Township. Yeah,
In Addison.
Township.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So actually, Bruce Pearson, the chair and supervisor of the township, he said, "Is there any discussion about this prior to making a, raise your hands or not raise your hand, and approval of it?"
But
Nothing, no discussion.
But that's in response to the new state law that basically says you can use it,
Right.
but you can't buy it.
And there's limitations to it, like
Or you
from a
can't sell it.
You can't sell it. You can't produce
Unless
it.
it's medical.
You can't transfer it. You can't do anything unless you have a license to do it.
Right.
A percentage of that money goes back to the township or to the village, whoever approves it.
Or
to go
not.
forward, or
if
not.
if you prohibit it.
Right. And these folks took the avenue in which, let's protect our community as much as possible. We folks elected them. So, let's be cautious
And
with
that's the
this
option
thing.
of every municipality.
Yep. And I think a lot of communities are looking for what impact it's going to have on other communities that have approved it. They
Of
say,
course,
hey,
of course, you could end up being this little isolated, what do you call it, enclave of purity, that you don't sell marijuana, but you could be surrounded by townships and other municipalities that do. So it's a mixed bag.
Right. Well, it's legal. They can drive through town, that kind of thing, and they can smoke it within certain criteria. They can't, for example, smoke marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school or educational.
I didn't know that.
Yep,
Okay.
that's true. And there's other
Does that apply to
parameters on
tobacco?
it as well. Huh?
Does that apply to tobacco too?
No, I don't think so. I think under age of 18, you can't smoke tobacco either. But I think the age of marijuana is 21. Got to be 21 at least.
Yeah. And everybody pays attention to that one.
Of course, they get pulled over and they suspect that you are using marijuana because, roll your window down. You can kind of smell it for a block.
I guess you can smell it, but I mean, they give people a breath test for alcohol.
Right.
But what do they do for marijuana?
They have to take a blood test.
A blood test?
Yep.
Okay.
So they will say, hey, come along with me. We're going to go to the hospital. And if they refuse to do that, just a suspicion of being
What's that thing called? Implied consent?
implied consent. Yep. And if they don't agree to do it, then unfortunately the officers will escort the individual to the hospital and check it out.
But we digress.
Right. And actually, if they refuse at
Again.
that point, if the individual refuses, by the way, you could spend a night in the pokey. Not doing the hokey pokey, but in the pokey. Could happen.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway, there's a lot of things that need to be seen yet in terms of community in other areas and what impact it's going to have. And they've been looking at statistics from Colorado, and Colorado is actually trying to approve mushrooms now, as well as psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh.
So what's next? Could be cocaine. Could
Well,
be, I don't know.
If you're operating heavy equipment or even light equipment, and you're not all there, watch out.
You're not all there, no matter what. And you'll be even less there, if something happens, right? Okay, so the township financial report was the next issue that they did talk about. Property taxes, an estimated of $360,000 up over previous. So, and that's due to new construction. New homes are being built in Addison.
Oh.
It's really an interesting area for people to move to. In other words,
once again,
out in the country.
We moved out here to get away from it all, and now everyone else wants to get away from it all.
Yeah, if they can live long enough, eventually they'll catch up to you, right?
Right.
Now, have you noticed that over there in Brandon, or are they trying to move in on you?
Brandon's expanding. I don't think it's expanding as fast as Oxford is, though.
Yeah, they have to actually get wind, and they have to, for electricity, they have to get, what else? They're using battery power right now. No sun power because there's no sun over there. But anyway, other than
You
that,
don't get
folks,
out much, do you?
we'll talk more about that when we come back right after this.
Hi, this is Dave Kenny. You can catch me on Auto Talk and Science in the News as part of Oxford News This Week. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 12 noon, 6:30 p.m., and 11 p.m. Also, you can catch us on the weekend at 12 noon and 11 p.m. on Saturday, and at 6:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Sunday. See you there.
Welcome back, Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we were just talking about Brandon, but now we want to get back to what went on at Addison Township Board of Trustees meeting on January 14th, right? Okay, So the next thing that they did say is that property taxes, of course, are going up because of the new construction in that area. So that's going to bring more avenue to the township. Revenue sharing and estimated by the state will also be up. The state has increased the amount that revenue sharing will be provided to
Based
the
on the
township.
tax base?
Based on the tax base and the number of people that live in the community.
Okay.
So reserve funds, that was a question. Why do you have reserve funds in there and account for that? Well, excuse me. The treasurer, Lori Fisher, she said, well, that's an item that balances the budget. So that you have to have an area to do that, and it's pretty common practice. They said, okay, that's good, we understand.
So where do reserve funds come from?
From, for
The
example,
general fund?
No, it could be an excess fund, for example, a carryover
Okay.
from previous year, that kind of thing. Could be unexpected funds that are provided by the state.
Okay.
Could be maybe Bruce Pearson wins the Michigan lottery and kicks in half of it. Who
A
knows?
windfall?
Right. A windfall. Excuse me. Unlike the no windfall they have in, well, anyway, we won't get into that again. Reserve funds, we did discuss that. Carryover. They're going to have carryover from last year's budget from in the amount of about $123,000, which is pretty considerable.
Yeah.
But Bruce Pearson said this is pretty normal. He said, we do not, as a rule, use the carryover funds, and it just ends up being carried over for the following year.
Otherwise known as a rainy day fund.
A rainy day fund. And the way the winter has been going here, there's not been a whole lot of winter rainy day or snow day funds.
So here they are, they've stacked up all that salt.
Yep.
And they haven't used very much of it. I understand that there's a motive to actually use the salt so they can justify buying it next year.
I got a feeling that that's not going to be the case. What they'll do is they'll hold it in reserve. They'll keep it packed,
Right.
so they don't have as much to buy next year.
Right.
And that's usually the practice.
Which could affect the way that they pay for it in subsequent years.
Well, it'll actually help their budget. The next year, it'll make
Short
it,
run, yes.
Yeah, it will. Until you get that big blizzard that's coming. They always get one, at least.
Why?
I don't know why. You just do.
You broke the spell. Now we're doomed.
Yeah, when I was in business, we used to have a customer sale. Used to have it every March. We started at the beginning of March to have it, and what did we get? A big snowstorm. So we decided, well, we'd move it to the middle of March. Move it to the middle of March. What did we get? Another big storm. Storm the following year.
Reminds me of that character in Little Abner called Joe Mitzflick.
Yep.
We had that cloud following him around all the time.
That was it, pretty much. So we didn't know what to do. We just pulled a date out of a hat after that and just picked one. And that's the way we worked. And that seemed to work better than trying to calculate, if it was going to snow or not snow. But anyway, there's quite a savings with not using salt and also not using the road equipment required to keep the roads clear. But you do know that the county is responsible for the roads in the township. The township doesn't own any of these township roads.
Oh, okay.
It's all county. So
as opposed to like the village of Oxford.
the village of Oxford is responsible for all the roads in the village. So there you have it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Next thing they did talk about was Social Security, that actually it's going to go up because they've hired additional people, which infers to that the unemployment will increase as well and would be up because people do get laid off as well, during the year.
You said Social Security?
Yeah, Social Security, because they're taking more pay, the people that are being hired right now.
Or you're talking workman's comp?
Well, no, it's
Or
no, it's not workman's comp.
unemployment insurance?
Well, it would be Social Security funding, yeah. The money taken out for Social Security. Look at your ticket. You should be able to see it. It's not
Well, they
workman's
take it
comp.
out for Social Security.
It's not workman's comp.
Unemployment insurance if you have to be laid off.
Would be layoff, yes. So that part you got right, pretty much. I'd give you a B. No A, but a B. Good to be. What is to be and what is not to be. Anyway, let's move on. You got any other questions? You look confused.
No.
Okay, good.
By
I'm
the
going to leave him
answers.
that way.
By the answers I am.
Best way to leave him is confused. Okay, so we're going to do that.
Bothered and bewildered.
Yes. Wages for meetings were increased. some degree. Building department monies, they look for that to be increased as well because of new construction. Chloride prices actually came in higher than what they did last year, but Bruce Pearson is negotiating with the company, and he says that he believes he can bring it down to the same price as last year.
And they wondered what to do with that salt.
Yes. Gravel is another problem. It has gone up in cost, and that is another one that's a tough one to negotiate. But again, Bruce Pearson is involved with that, and hopefully he can do something. There's a lot of gravel roads out there in Addison
Yep.
Township. Police, as far as expense, is also up, and he put that in the budget. Bruce did, because he's looking for a swing shift from 7 to 3, an additional trooper, police officer. And he would like to see that happen, so if there's 2 people during the peak time, that they have difficulty in the late hours.
And their policing is taken care of by the Sheriff's Department.
By the Sheriff's Department, yes.
Through a contract.
And they have a contract. You're
Right.
right. Man, you're just full of information. I love it.
Boy.
Oh boy. Okay, path at Lake George, he put in some money there because they're going to do a path. Remember, we talked about Lake George and all the improvements they were making over there in past sessions that we've had here. You folks can learn more by going to
the name of that park?
OCCTV.org. It's, the park is Lake George, but it's got a different name on it too, I think. Take a note.
TBD. To be determined.
Yep, take a note. Got it. Put in a stack of those big yellows. Okay, public meeting for February. Bruce said that they should have a public meeting to review the budgets. And people then you can have your input at that time, or output, however which way you want to do it. Let me see what's next. He did talk about...
Their fiscal year is different than Oxford's.
Could be. I don't know.
I think it ends around March, or begins around March in any case.
Yeah, it could be. I believe Oxford is January to December. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And DDA has just changed theirs to that too, so it'd be uniform.
Okay.
Let me see. 5% increase for supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustees. And amazingly enough, it was approved. They haven't accepted any raises up till 9.
Oh, okay.
Cost of living, as you know, is 2.8. So they felt 5% to bring them back up would be the way to do it. They then requested public forum. Nobody wanted to talk, so that pretty much ended it. And let's talk about next, the Oxford Village Planning Commission, when we come back right after this. Welcome back, Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we have just finished talking about Addison Township Board of Trustees. Very interesting meeting they had.
Yep.
It actually lasted a lot longer than what we predicted or projected here, right?
We got the Reader's Digest version.
We do. Okay. Oxford Village Planning Commission is the next one, and that one occurred on January 15th. And Gary Douglas is the chair. Does a great job, by the way. If you've not seen any of his meetings, you can check it out on OCCTV.org and see the whole meeting and Gary in action along with the board. Jack Curtis serves on that board, and he serves on several boards with the township as well. Rose Bama serves on the board, and she is the chair for the Zoning Board of Appeals for the village. Maureen Helmuth, who's village council representative, she serves on this board as well. Gary Deeg was absent, but he was excused absence. And Justin Ballard, he's the new guy.
Justin Ballard.
Justin Ballard. And Leslie Pilak is the young lady that was placed on the board, I think a couple months ago. So that's the whole
thing,
group. They're groupies, all these people. Yep. They pretty much know their stuff. They're all very skilled in their own areas. So, Pledge of Allegiance. Agenda for January 15th was approved. Minutes for December 4th, 2018 was approved immediately. No surprise there. Correspondence. Any correspondence? None. People don't want to talk to these guys for some reason. You need to send them a letter. Say, hey, I like what you're doing. Or, hey, I don't like what you're doing. But to say why you don't. Because they like to get positive stuff occasionally. Okay, as every committee would like to have, because they represent you. Okay, and they want to make sure it's done.
When someone's ox is being gored, people show up.
Now, you usually see the pitchfork with the fire
Yep.
in advance. So that's when you see the doors slide shut and lock. Okay, public hearing. Outdoor sales ordinance. Now, we've addressed this one before, haven't we?
Outdoor sales.
Yep,
Outdoor sales. Being
Outdoor sales.
Door to door, or
No, that's businesses that place their goods out front.
that's display.
Yeah, well, it's several categories, and we're going to talk about that.
Ah,
Just coming up.
I thought you would.
Yeah. Mario is a representative for McKenna and Associates, and he actually came up with a pretty good formula for how the new ordinance should be portrayed. And his definition was, one is, what do you define as accessories? For example, you could be a business that put out what you call accessories.
What's an accessory?
Right. It could be handbags, could be horsey stuff like saddles, could be stuff like that. Those could be accessories. And normally you bring those in at night, you know, after hours, business hours are
Because they're
concluded.
small.
Yeah, and they can develop feet. And they don't want that to happen. It's a bad way to end up in the black.
That's true.
It's not. It's a good way to end up in the black. If they bring stuff into you, but they take it out, it's in the red. Got you on that one, didn't I?
Well, you got to keep your eye on stuff that's out there on the sidewalk.
Yes, you do. That's why you tie a string to it, along with a pit bull on the other end.
And some tin cans.
Tin cans, yeah. So anyway, so that would be one, accessories. And then outdoor display sales. That would be bigger items. Like if you've got a go-kart, if you got a snow blowers, if you got a tractor, if you got things like that.
Is it based on value or size?
Both. Probably size more than anything, and the amount of space that you take up. And by the way, this new ordinance will be determined in terms of the actually the district that's going to be in and what's going to be qualified as an outdoor district or as an accessory area by the area it takes up, and also the impact that it has on your adjacent business. You know, for example, if you encroach on somebody else, I'm going to move my lawnmowers over on your property. Well,
Well, you can encroach on someone else, but you can also encroach on the right-of-way.
You could do that, and there are requirements there as well.
I see.
Particularly in the village. Township, not so much, because normally the businesses own the property, or at least lease from a large
Right.
group. I don't know, Meyer, is Meyer a leased building, or is it, do they own it?
I really don't know.
Take a note. I'm just wondering. Okay.
Well, it's a big box.
It's a big box. It is really. Okay, so anyway, that's interesting, but I know that all the other businesses along there are pretty much their own. They own the properties.
Yeah.
But that could change.
Not
you
sure
know,
about
lease.
Myers. And by the way, Myers is in the township.
It is in the township. How did you know that?
I drew a line.
No, actually, they drew a line a long time ago.
And
the
it just
village
happened
drew
to
a
match
line.
the one that I had.
Yeah, no, the village said, well, this line corresponds with what we have, and the township said, well, this corresponds with what we have, and there you have it. So anyway, a lot of things going on in the township. A lot of interesting things going on in the village also. M24 task force is dealing with a number of different items.
When is MDOT coming through, by the
It's
way?
2020, this is it. I got to tell you, it's coming this year, folks. And it'll start, you'll see some activity sometime around the springtime. What's neat here is the Downtown Development Authority has actually got a marketing plan in place. They have a committee that they just assigned at the last meeting that this particular committee is going to put together a formula for the marketing for you
Marking.
folks. Marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah. So that even though the street will be a one-way street and there'll be circumvented to other areas.
A one-way street?
Well, like you can travel, to start with, they'll close off the right lane. They'll have people going
during
south
construction.
during construction. But they want to keep you folks out there that own these businesses busy. And so I know they have well over $200,000 set aside just for marketing purposes. That's quite substantial. And so they're not going to leave you, in the dark on this thing. They want to channel customers to your door. So they'll be working on
Even
that.
if they have
a
to
committee.
carry them.
Yeah, have a committee, and they just approved the engineering approval for the streetscape as well. A number of things like benches and so forth, and interesting stuff going on there.
Well, you know that it's going to start in 2020.
It is.
Or the latter part of 2019, whichever. When is it supposed to be done?
Well, once they start, they're looking at roughly, well, of course, as soon as quickly as possible, but they're looking at roughly 6 to 8 months. 6 months. Well, there's a number of things they need to check on. For example, when they do the construction, can they do the construction at nighttime as well? If that's the case, they'll speed up, the process.
And Oxford has been around, well, for a while.
Quite a while, from
so
my
its
understanding.
infrastructure, it might find some interesting things.
And they will find a number of interesting things. For example, where they use water service, where they used a log and they hollowed it out for water ducts. No,
strangely enough, there might be a few of those there.
There could be, but they're prepared for the worst and hope for the best, according to MDOT anyway. That's the last conversation I've heard about them.
And the sun will come out tomorrow.
The sun will come out tomorrow. But anyway, you've got the DDA that has regular meetings concerning the streetscape and also what's going to go on downtown. There aren't going to be as many trees as what originally they wanted to do, but they will have a lamp post that will extend all the way out to Market Street.
Marketplace.
Marketplace. Got it. So there's going to be some interesting things, sidewalks.
Parking will be affected too.
Parking will be affected, right. Now that's not to mention that you've got Dave Weckel's project along with a parking lot that he's going to build.
But that's on Burdick Street.
That's on Burdick Street. But there will be extra parking. They will work with you businesses down there to make sure that your needs are being met, and that the customers are being sent in terms of numbers, and finding routes to get there.
The initial reroute for traffic will be up Ray Road, won't it? Up to Ray Road.
Trucks will travel that way more than likely.
Oh, really?
For a while.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the plan is, I think, at this point, which could change depending on what MDOT wants to do here. But okay, so we did talk about accessories, display sales, and open air amendment existing ordinance. They need to do that, and defining a set of setbacks. In other words, what are the setbacks required and other criteria. And this actually was discussed with, trying to think who that was. Yeah, Chuck Snyder got involved in this. Chuck, he shows up to these meetings.
I know.
And gets his
Chuck is very knowledgeable.
Worth into it. So there's quite a discussion there, and you folks can learn a lot more about this if you go to OCCTV.org and
click on programs.
Click on programs and check out the meeting that they had for Oxford Village Planning Commission. And by the way, you can also see what's going on with the DDA and learn what's going on and stay in touch with the changes that are going to take effect in the year 2020. And by the way, it is coming, so get prepared.
Just around the corner. It's 2019. 2020 is, only a year away.
Only a year away. It'll be here like snapping your fingers. And speaking of snapping your fingers, what's coming up?
Not much. Well, on 128, our parent organization, the OACCC, standing for
Oxford Communications Commission.
Oxford Cable Communications Commission. Thank you very much. At 4 o'clock, and that will be at the Village of Oxford meeting place. And
that's
all
always
I got.
Interesting. I always find that interesting.
What?
You're on that board.
No,
I'm
not on the board.
No, you sit on the side and they slap you every once in a while for
that's
information.
True.
He does the financial portion of it.
I do.
Yeah, he do. I know it's surprising out there, folks, but that's what he does on with the Communications Commission. So, here I am again. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute. Thanks for watching.
Motion by Helmut.
I used to think news is news. It's all the same. But it's not. There's a big difference between local broadcast news and cable news. See, local stations are part of my community, connecting me to local news, weather, and sports on every device. It makes sense. Get the news from the people I trust who actually live here. No agenda, no bias like on cable shout shows or social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text TV to 52886 today.